let's get ready to roll. There we go. We had a long discussion in some other meeting that gravels do help. Okay, could we get whoever's doing the roll call tonight to do a roll call, please?
Yes, Chair Akins.
Here.
Vice Chair Convery is absent. Commissioner James.
Here.
Commissioner McHatton.
Here.
Commissioner Preborg.
Sweet. Okay, Pledge of Allegiance, please stand and follow me, please. Hand over heart. I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States
of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. 20 plus years of umpiring baseball, I just still want to yell, play ball. Just what you do. Okay, public communications. I do want to, since we're doing the roll, do want to acknowledge that Commissioner McHatton is in our other public meeting location, otherwise known as the Ojai Valley Museum at 130 West Ojai Avenue.
So that's where you go if you can't go?
Yeah, for the moment. And if you go, you can tell it's a public area, location because it has the papers going down the front and the side door, which is.
Why would you want to do that and just not come here?
Because to isolate in a sense.
COVID or something?
Yeah, if that was something that you might be concerned about, it's just opening another opportunity so that we can have everybody participate safely.
COVID.
Microphones, please.
Let's make sure you turn our microphones on when we
Your
speak.
microphone was
Thanks.
up. Okay, so public communications. Public communications is the time set aside during the Historic Preservation Commission meeting for members of the public to address the Historic Preservation Commission on items of city business other than scheduled agenda items. Matters raised at this time may be briefly discussed by the commission and will generally be referred to staff and/or placed on a subsequent agenda. Under state law, other than for emergency items, no action can be taken at this meeting. Okay. Do we have any public communications tonight?
Chair, I think maybe you have one,
Well, I have a written public communication.
a written public communication. I wasn't sure if that needed to be read.
Okay, and I didn't have a, I didn't know whether, so I have a public comment for September 8th HPC meeting. This is from Craig Walker. It's dated Tuesday, September 6th, 2022, 11:19 a.m.
Craig Walker is in attendance on Zoom and does have his hand raised as well, if you just want to talk to him.
Oh, he has his hand raised as a person who wants to have, make a public comment?
Yes.
Oh, fantastic.
Perfect, that's what I was reaching for. So yes, if you can allow him to speak then, and he can share his own notes or own comments. There we go. Hello, Craig Walker, welcome. Do you
Hello,
have
can you hear me?
verbal public comments you want to share with us tonight?
Yes, can you hear me?
I
Very
can.
well.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I just want to maybe state a little differently what I wrote. At your last meeting, I asked the commission to consider nominating the cottages among the flowers and the Valley Outpost Lodge as historic structures of merit to at least protect them from neglect and or demolition. But tonight, I'm asking that instead you nominate them as City of Ojai landmarks. This may be the only way to save these two popular historic properties. Please consider the following. One, the properties have both been identified as important historic resources, and both are currently threatened by proposals that will significantly impact their historic character and their continued eligibility for the California National Registers. Second, I have been struck by the massive outpouring of interest in preserving these two historic properties by the general public. The interest has been expressed in letters to the newspaper, on social media, and at the council meeting covering the future of these historic sites. Few properties the city has landmarked have generated so much interest. I believe the council owes the public an opportunity to at least consider landmarking. Both proposals were granted a mitigated negative. Well, this is my third point. Both proposals were granted a mitigated negative declaration by the city back in 2007. This negative declaration was granted incorrectly, I believe. In order to receive a mitigated negative declaration, the city must show that the negative impacts of the projects will be reduced below the level of significance by the mitigations. This did not happen, nor could it happen. With all the demolitions, removals, and expansion in size, the adverse impacts will still be significant, even with the required mitigations. It says so right in the historic reports. The consultant came to that conclusion. Please consult with the State Office of Historic Preservation if there are any questions about this. The project should be reconsidered under the significant new information clause in the CEQA law. If these projects go forward, neither the cottages nor the Outpost Lodge will still qualify for the California or National Register of Historic Places. That would be tragic. Please, I ask you to direct staff to ask the council to hold any further consideration of these projects until landmarking can be considered. Thank you for acting quickly on this urgent request.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you, Craig. Appreciate your comments. They're duly noted. Any other public comments? Brian?
No, that was it.
Okay, great. Then we will move on to the next item on our agenda. And that is a museum report. Again, we want to thank the museum for opening up. And again, because it is a part to answer your question, Valerie, because it is a public, put out as a public location, other people other than Gina can go and participate. And so we want to thank Wendy Barker, who is the executive director for the Ojai Valley Museum. She's the one hosting the museum there. Okay, Wendy sent me this information. Tomorrow night, very popular event. I'll be somewhere else. Hot Summer Night DJ Dance Party this Friday, September 9th, 7 to 9. It's in the back of the museum. Nominal cost of $5. I heard there was somewhere in the neighborhood of 40 to 45 people enjoying themselves last time. I think this will be the third one that they've done for the summer. And the good news is it will be a lot cooler than the last one. Third Friday in Ojai, Friday, September 16th, 5 to 7, is free entrance. There will be two Ojai studio artists demonstrating, one 5 to 6 and the other from 6 to 7, and live music by A Little Bit Country from 5:30 to 6:30. Okay, I'm circling that. We're looking for interesting collections to highlight our next exhibition, which is Ojai Collects. This will be actually the third time they've done an Ojai Collects exhibition, and you will be amazed by what people have, what people collect. There is a flyer with information on the homepage of the museum's website. Additionally, they are selling raffle tickets for a beautiful queen-size quilt. You can see that in the entrance to the museum. So thank you, museum. Consent items. We go to the minutes. Let's see if I can get this right. Okay. Oh, that's not it. That's not it. Okay, we got that one. Okay. Adjustments to the minutes.
I had one tiny thing, I'm not sure if it's relevant to change, but in the part about when we were talking about the jail, one of the things that I mentioned that I feel is important is that this project shows that the city supports public art projects. And that just wasn't mentioned there. It might not be worth changing it, but I just wanted to mention it.
Can you turn your microphone on, please?
I'm sorry. The importance of our supporting the jail arts initiative shows that the city is supportive of public art projects.
Okay, so that might be something we could add to that last line on the page 3 of 5.
That's what I was thinking, if it's not too much trouble just to add that, because I think that that's important in these discussions.
I think Brian can handle that. Okay, other items? Let's see.
I think there was anything.
I have,
else.
let's see, a couple things. On a public hearing, items number 2, down in the 1, 2, 3, fourth paragraph, last sentence, it says Associate Planner Macaluso. That should be responded, oh, okay, and then Vice Chair Convery, it should be Vice Chair Convery requested that the city update the pre-approved color palette to reflect the new and correct Dunn Edwards paint colored names. And Brian, I can get that information to you. Also on page 4, jumping over there, under Vice Chair Convery, this is page 4 of 5 down at the bottom. Under Commissioner comments, this is for future agenda items, Commissioner comments. Vice Chair Convery requested for the third time, Cottages Among the Flowers and the Troy Lodges be designated a site of merit in a future agenda item. So just a couple corrections to the minutes. Any other corrections? Okay, could we get a motion then, please?
I have a motion to approve.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Valerie, Jenny. Brian, could you call roll, please?
Akins,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
McHatton,
Yes.
Prebor.
Yes.
Thank you. My head's swiveling. Okay, great. Thank you, everybody. Okay. Are we staying with the, Mara, are we staying with the order as it shows in the agenda, or is that order being adjusted in any way?
It's staying in this order.
Okay.
Unless you wanted to adjust it.
The
Remind me of
suggestion
something.
was, there was a suggestion made to me that the order was going to be changed around, but I'm ready to do it this way, if that's okay with you.
It's okay with me if we keep it in this order.
Okay.
It's okay with me.
Late afternoon phone call.
Um,
What is he talking about?
Yeah, no, we keep it in this order and, yeah.
Okay, excellent. Makes it easy for me. Okay, we would now like to move to discussion item number 2. So this is a discussion item. A staff report.
So this is a discussion item. It's the annual 2022 Historic Preservation Award and Lifetime Achievement Award
Yes.
subject. And the recommendation is that the HPC adopt the resolution here requesting that the City Council ratify the Commission's recommendation to recognize Gina McHatton with the City of Ojai Annual Historic Preservation Award for 2022 and John F. Jack, quote-unquote Jack Fay, and Ron Polito as recipients of the Historic Preservation Lifetime Achievement Award. And so there is a discussion in the report for your information that you've all received, and then we have here the resolution for you to adopt.
Okay, excellent.
I have to admit that I saw the word discussion item on here, but it is something for you to adopt. So it's not, I mean, you can certainly discuss, but then there's being an action taken of adopting it.
Yes, does that mean it's supposed to have a different title?
We're okay with the way it is. You can discuss it.
Okay.
It's okay with the title that's here, but I just want you to know that we are recommending that you adopt it.
Okay, great. So there will be discussion, there will be an action that we need to take at the end. That action, depending on what the motion is whether then to forward this to the City Council for their own discussion and adoption at their meeting.
Correct.
So let me just start right off. And I sent an email to Brian, and I got, actually, I think it was Craig that sent the first correction in. I hadn't even seen the agenda yet. John is John. There is no Jon on John F. Fay. And that Jon is mentioned several times through the documents and the information.
Thank you.
Okay, so let me go back to that. So, yeah, corrections, especially in the descriptive narrative. I think it might be, nope, it starts off with a Jon. So we'll just get that corrected in the text that's in there. Other than that, I did not have any.
Some Johns are John.
That can be adjusted and
Yes.
moved forward without coming back here. That's not.
Yeah, absolutely. Other than that, I didn't have any other changes. Let's go over to Commissioner McCatton. I thought Jenny did a good job. We have your husband's name in here this time?
Yes, you do. Thank you. Thank you, Jenny.
You're welcome.
And thank you, Brian.
Oh, you're welcome.
I have a question.
Yes.
My question is, does this exact document, is this what goes on? This is what we adopt, this description, and then this goes on to the city council?
Yes,
Okay.
with any revisions.
No, it's just, I was really just gonna ask Gina whether there was anything that she wanted to add.
And that's okay. That's
Yeah, that's
that's
okay.
why you get to
It's-
discuss it tonight. And
If I didn't get everything, Gina, I just didn't know if there was something that you wanted to add because we hadn't discussed it.
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay, great. Okay, good.
Okay. Commissioner James, any changes, observations?
I don't know Jack Fay, I only know Gina. And I think that she did a really good job on Gina, and Gina doesn't want anything changed, so that must mean she did a good job.
Yes. Yep. Yep, I'm very happy.
Other than that, I don't know the other two, so.
Okay.
Looks like they did a good job, I don't know.
Good. What was I going to say? So what'll happen then is we will send, as Mara said, send this full information to council rather than, and then if they go ahead and adopt the awards that we're doing at some, then because it's going to be read, or some part of it is going to be read at the presentation. Generally, it's weaned down to something that they can read in, a minute and a half,
Yeah.
maybe a couple minutes.
Yeah.
When they do the presentation of the awards. Okay, but other than that, it goes in full text if we're in agreement with that.
I'm
Does
in
it
agreement,
list
yeah.
the date of that presentation?
No, we're gonna talk about that
Oh, okay.
just a second.
Okay.
Okay, so, motion to approve this?
Motion to
And please.
approve.
Second.
Okay, Brian?
Akins,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
McHadden,
Yes.
Prevor.
Yes.
Thank you.
Perfect, great.
Great.
Okay, so the other note I have is just asking that if staff could please notify the members of the Historic Preservation Commission on when this will come before council, so that we can be there and support our nominations.
so when it is on the agenda, you will be notified, yes.
Okay, yeah.
It's
if
not
we-
yet- You don't know yet.
We don't know the date as to when it'll be on the calendar.
Don't even get me started. And then the presentation to the individuals has traditionally been done on the only meeting that's held in December, since they generally end up taking the second meeting of December off. Okay, and so depending. What I tend to do, as I did with Alan Raines last year, is contact the people who are receiving the awards. The awards themselves will be taken care of by Community Development Department and getting those ordered and getting them in. And then talk with the individuals and make sure they're aware of where the awards will take place. I will tell you, last year when they were doing the awards, especially with Alan Raines, I think it changed. It was going to be in 3 different places at times. So it was kind of fun calling Alan and going, yeah, they changed it on you again, Alan. But he was.
We did it here.
We did it here.
And was it during our meeting or was it during a city council meeting?
It's during the city council
meeting. So it's the December city council meeting.
It is. And generally there's only the one, and so it'll be the
first
second Tuesday of December. I think that's the 13th. And so then you could let the commission know when that presentation will take place, so that we can all be there and support them. Again, wonderful with Alan Raines, moving him back and forth. His family later said he was determined that no matter what, he was going to be at that presentation.
That was amazing.
And he was.
That whole presentation was amazing. Yeah.
And he shared just great stories. And
yeah, Cindy was really prescient about that because she said, we got to get that to him
absolutely
before he leaves.
Passed away, 9 days later. Okay.
Yeah,
that was pretty amazing.
Okay, next item on the agenda is the agenda item number 3, proposed local downtown historic district ad hoc committee's progress report. Gina, do you want to start us off on that, please?
I think at this point it might be a Brian. I know that I did want to make sure that Brian notes to Maura to Lucas that the what's going on in the city council has been adjusted. Now that we found out that you, for sure, as long as you are a contributing property in a local historic district, that you can get a Mills Act contract, that we had asked council to adjust our ordinances, but it does not need adjusting. So if we can please let council know before they get started on that, as well as making sure that they know that we are asking them if they would like to vote on their parcels, but the discussion is also kind of putting the carriage in front of the horse there as well. I think it was worded funny about having it be a discussion to discuss the downtown, but really it's to discuss their parcels and if they would like to vote then. So if we could let council know those 2 things before they get started, I'd appreciate it. But as far as everything else, and we're just perking along with talking to more and more people, and it's really nice to hear that the community is excited, and we're getting a lot of positive feedback. At least that's what I'm getting from Brian when we have our ad hoc. So, do you want to talk to that, Brian?
I do. It is interesting that things take time. Let me give you an example of something that has taken a little while because it was summertime and because they're busy. I originally came before this body on June 14th. I asked for these 3 topics to be on the agenda. It was on the agenda then on July 12th. Unfortunately, there was another big item on that agenda too, and Mr. Summers and I had already determined 22 minutes before the meeting started that, I wasn't going to be talking that night. So then it got postponed. That was understood, but from the 14th, and now that those items will be discussed at council meeting, as Gina was just saying, on Tuesday night, the 13th. So you can see sometimes with the best efforts and everything going on, it takes time. I found out that many of the nonprofit organizations actually take the summer off on their commission meetings. Since I'm president of the museum, that may be an idea that we suggest next year, since we work during the summer. So what's with that? I did have the opportunity, so we've been reaching out, talking to everybody that we can. We did reach out to the Women's Club on August 31st. That was their first meeting back from the summer. I had never been in the Women's Club. That's important because the Women's Club is one of our landmarks. And I'd never been in there. And it is beautiful. And I was imagining my father-in-law as a 5-year-old running around that building because we're pretty sure that's where he went to kindergarten. It was kind of an overflow for the elementary school. I know for sure that David Mason went to kindergarten there. So some mighty nice people. But kudos to the Women's Club for taking care of that and doing such a great job. So they allowed me a presentation time. Buttered me up with a root beer float. It was ice cream meeting. And then they were kind enough and voted no. So I picked up that vote from her. On August 1st, I had the opportunity to talk with our county supervisor, Matt Levere. Again, you can see things are taking a bit of time. The first step along that way was about 3 months ago. Again, the Ventura County supervisors also take a month and a half off. So we did get in there. Supervisor Levere has our package, and then it is up to him to then take it to the full County Board of Supervisors, and they'll let me know when that takes place. Yes, Gina.
It could just be a Zoom thing, but the Women's Club voted yes.
They did.
I could have swore you just said no.
You did say no.
Did I say no?
Yeah.
Sorry. Yes, they were absolutely yes.
I was wondering.
Thank you.
Thank you for correcting me. Please correct the record. Yeah, I would have. Okay.
Do we have obviously you're keeping some kind of list of all these votes. What's the relevance of these individual groups' votes? Just for our resources and presentations?
So there are 86 parcels. Each
one gets one vote.
Nope, each owner gets one vote.
Oh,
So
If you have 5 parcels, you get 1 vote.
yeah, so let me give as an example, the city of Ojai owns 7 parcels.
1 vote.
They 6 of those are already landmarks. That's one of the things we're asking them Tuesday night is to vote on their parcel on whether they
I got it.
go yes or no. And the yes or no votes are, pretty straightforward.
So the city council is not voting on the whole project?
They are not. They are, and that was some confusion that was in the document. We are only asking them to vote on their parcel, on whether they support it, no, they don't support it, or whether they want to abstain at this time.
So during that meeting next week, do you have an opportunity to present to them?
Oh, I will,
You
yes.
will? Okay.
Yeah, I will be
So you can say, we've talked to these people and then.
yeah, I can answer whatever questions, but yeah, I will be the presenter, not a public commenter.
Okay.
So, and so some of the things, Gina, I talked with, Lucas called me at home this afternoon, and we went through the items that are listed on there and have an understanding of what the message is to the council. And I appreciate Lucas's phone call.
Gina has a question.
Yes, Gina.
And also during our ad hoc with Craig Walker and Brian and myself, we were discussing going back to the map and looking at the non-contributing and thinking about whether or not that they need to be included on there. And so that was something that we might bring back to you guys next meeting to have more of a formal discussion about the map. It's still in flux. It's still a work in progress. But after talking with people at the SHRPO office and at the National Historic Preservation Foundation, they felt that there's so many more benefits to tangible benefits to contributing properties and to landmark properties, that if you have properties that they're just based on geography, that a gerrymandered map might be better if it's going to be more successful, and to just look at it and just decide if all of those non-contributings are something that we absolutely want in our final. So it's still like I said, it's a working document, just like everything else here, the 30 questions and everything else. It's all a very live document where we're still being discussed until nothing is final until it's final. So we will be talking more about that and maybe bringing it to you at our next meeting.
Yes, thank you very much, Gina. And again, that goes on the recommendation that Gina said. With the map that we have that you're familiar with, Cindy and I sat down at the very beginning and said, okay, who are you going to contact? Who am I going to contact? And Cindy knows a lot of people in the community. So Cindy got to know the people that she knows, and Brian got to meet a whole lot of new people, most of which are in the community. I do not have a priority on who I contact first. I just kind of, if I know the people and I can get a hold of them, then I will talk to them, of course. If I see them on the street, any of you that see them on the street, if they have questions, feel free to answer those questions. I do not, somebody asked me today, well, do you ignore the no's? And I said, I have no idea who the no's and yeses are because, I don't know these people, and making a supposition in doing this would be a big mistake. But it's interesting. I want to highlight something that we talk about with Jack Fay. He and Jim, shoot me now, were his buddy in the city council, and they decided they were going to do a redevelopment project. And this redevelopment project was redeveloping all of the back behind the arcade. If you see old pictures, the arcade was where people opened the back door and threw all their junk back there. You can walk there in the night. There were holes. There were people that dug, oh, we're doing this and that. It was just ugly, ugly, ugly. And so they decided there was, that's when redevelopment agencies were just coming about. And they decided that they wanted to take that project on. And one of the negatives was that in a redevelopment project, you could claim the land. What is it where you? Homestead. No, where you want to build a freeway, but there's houses in. Yes, eminent domain was one of the things that they could put in place. And they had to promise that the community, me, I promise we will not take anyone's property. And, I tell people the truth, and sometimes they don't believe me either. What can I say? So I come back with more folk. But Jack talks about how he would stand out on the corner of Ojai Avenue and Signal, stand on the corner, and would talk to anybody that walked by. Oh, weird. And said, hey, can I talk to you about the redevelopment?
I love that.
I did too. I'm like, where's Jack when you need him?
Yeah.
So
I'll do that if you need me.
that's what we're doing now, standing on the corner. So that was just a great story. But again, if you look at the part, go behind the arcade in those, you'll see two things. One, you'll see how the buildings go in and out all the way through, right, that they're not uniform as they are on the front. And two, it is just wonderful to sit out there even on a hot day. Gina.
So I just want the commissioners to know what we're looking at predominantly are the chunks of the C properties, the non-contributing properties, going from Matilaha and Montgomery, the Hip Vegan, the two properties behind it, going on up to the Nazarene Church, and which is where it would come back into, because it's already a landmark, and previous Thais's property, the duplex there on Aliso. But do we need 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5? And that's something that we wanted to discuss, as well as the on Montgomery and Ojai Avenue, the 3 across the street from the gas station, those as well. I think we're kind of set on keeping the Chevron in there just because it's part of the strip, as well as the bike shop too. But it's just those little clusters, they seem to, we just couldn't decide if that was something that we wanted to kind of cut out of there. But, it's something that we love the continuity of it. And the question is, what story are we telling? And that is something that's really important with the Downtown Historic District is if we cut something out, we want it to be something that isn't part of the story. And if it is part of the story, then so we have to think about the future, what's around it, what it would look like if these buildings changed hands to other people. It's a lot of questions, just wanting it to make sense over the long run and making sure that this is a really perfect map before everything's finalized. So kind of just, if you're walking around down there or you're looking around, just kind of keep that as the area that we were talking about most, is just those, that cluster, especially the Matilaha, Montgomery, Aliso cluster right there. So anyway, just if you're out and walking around, that would be it.
Great, those are excellent points. Thank you, Gina. And that reminded me of one other thing that I've learned about recently. So this is a part of a group that's called Save Ventura. And it is the downtown part. And I will read just their second paragraph in. Normalizes all zoning districts from the downtown specific plan and proposed land use designation, because they're redoing their plan just as we're doing ours. The majority of the downtown is mixed use 1, 2, and 3, which allows for mixed use buildings between 1 and 5 stories. And one of the reasons that we put, and I tell this in the presentation, one of the reasons we put the gas station over here on the corner as a part of our downtown historic district, it's gray, but think of if we go to pure electric cars and there are no gas stations anymore, that is a prime lot. And this, when people are like, oh, it will never happen to me. So I was talking with Kimberly Rivers at Libby Park, I think it's that way, the other day, waiting for people who are going to ask the candidates questions or candidates who are going to listen to the questions. And so Kimberly and I had a nice hour-long talk. But she said, yeah, the reason this is happening to downtown Ojai, or downtown Ventura, is they don't have a historic district. For example, increase the city yard on San Juan from mixed use 4 stories to mixed use 5 stories. Oh, I love this one. Increases allowable height and density of Mission Plaza from mixed use 4 stories to mixed use 6 stories.
They're trying to get people to live.
They are.
Live downtown.
They are. And if you had been the Kent Hall, that Lucas had when they were talking about the update to the general plan, and they had all of the different sections on all of the different walls for people to comment. I was over there guarding the downtown section, kind of walking back and forth in front of that, because they were like, oh, that would be nice to put housing right behind that arcade. Just think about that. I was like, yeah. Okay, and there's yes, go right ahead, please.
Microphone, please.
So my thought on these gray spaces is that they should stay on the map because of what Brian just said. And I think that for those businesses, like some of them that I know, it's important for them to say that they're in the downtown historic district. And if we take them off the map, it seems odd to me. Unless it's, a political issue that do they have a vote if they're on the map?
Yes.
Yes.
They do. So, if there's some feeling that the gray structures are leaning against the project,
Exactly.
kind of makes sense. But I think that it doesn't make sense they're right smack in the middle of our downtown historic district. I don't see why we would take them off.
I totally agree. I don't want to take any of them off. I think this is a perfect map. It represents exactly what we want to tell and the story that we want to tell of the history of Ojai. What was said to me was, if you see that the contributing properties are leaning no, and it's going to be detrimental to protecting all of this downtown, that is something that the State Preservation Office said. It's like, it's better to protect part of it than none of it. If you see the non-contributing, you see, it's okay to gerrymander if especially the non-contributing, if it's going to make it so you're going to lose your downtown historic district. We're not there yet. We don't know how these people feel. Hopefully, I mean, they'll want to be a part of it and it will make sense. But I just wanted to bring to you what the State Historic Preservation Office and the State Historic Preservation Foundation mentioned to me was just keep in mind that it's the most important thing that a commission can do is a downtown historic district. And it's known nationally, state, locally, that's the best thing that you can do. So if it becomes down to it where it's going to fall apart because of some non-contributing, it's better to look at our landmarks, look at our contributing properties and go, it's so important that we do this, that maybe we have to look at that again. But ideally, I want to keep it just the way it is. I just want to have that in our heads that we have been suggested by state organizations to just keep that in mind, that getting it done is the most important thing to protect our downtown for generations to come.
Yeah, and I agree with that too. The key thing is that people understand from the very beginning, we have looked at every single parcel individually.
Right.
We haven't looked at areas. I was joking with someone the other day that owns this little parcel right behind Agave Maria's. It is 2 feet by 4 feet, I think, and has a wall around it. There's a little teeny thing. I was talking to who I thought was the owners, but they're the managers of the property. And we saw that on the county maps, and then I went over because we were trying to
This
figure out.
little one on South Montgomery, the white one?
Yes. Yeah.
The little white one, we cut it out. Yeah.
Yeah. So we looked at every single location. So what I'm telling people who are in the gray right now is I am going to them, and I am appealing to them because even though they may not be eligible on our map as a contributing property, there's two things. One, they can always appeal that decision. They can say, well, I think we are a contributing property. I mean, there's some question on the Mob Bike Store over there. We had said, no, it isn't. And then Elise was looking through the map and said, oh, well, let me tell you the history about that gas station there. And so we're looking at it from that place. But what I'm telling the people there is that they are part of a community. And even though they may not have a Mills Act available to them, same thing on the county library. Again, it's county property does not have property taxes. They don't have a Mills Act benefit available to them, but they want to be good neighbors. They want to, with their supporting vote, support their neighbors in order to be able to pursue a Mills Act. Yes,
Exactly. I mean, if you are in a downtown historic district, there's a non-contributing property, and the properties around you are able to do upkeep, are able to keep good tenants and keep the downtown vibrant because of these tax benefits. It benefits everybody.
That's right. And as we've shown early in our discussions is that downtown historic districts attract individuals. And both of these non-contributing buildings I'm talking to are retail. The other comment I made the other day, and it might have been with the Women's Club, is, if you're driving into Ojai, what sign is going to bring you in more? State historic district, to which you're going to go, what? That's what we currently are. Or are you going to do Ojai historic district? Is that what you want to see?
Or both.
And people are going to understand Ojai Historic District over, State Historic District. Oh, well, I can see a building being state, or the library is or the museum's a national historic marker. So
yeah, I agree, both.
yeah.
So just quickly back to the gray parcels. What's your feedback from the people you've talked to in those gray
We have to
parcels?
do historic reports, no.
No, they'll never be touched. And they're treated like most everybody else. And Mara and I have talked about this, that you know, if it's a minor permit, it goes to the Community Development Department. If it's a major permit, because it's still within the city, it would go to, I don't think it would come to us, but, you know, depends.
It would go to the,
Scratch that, I'm
Yeah.
getting lost in all my talks I've given over the years.
so
But
major permit.
the great people that I've talked to have, many of them seem okay with that. And I'm still talking with them.
Do major permits because they're within a historic district?
Uh,
Or would that just be what they have to do anyway?
If they want to do any changes to their home that are within a historic district, even though they're non-contributing, or their business or anything, Mara?
If you're in the historic district and there's a minor and a major work permit, the minor is through the director and the major comes here. So, but if you're,
So if they're non-contributing, they'd have to go through the historic preservation to do a major work permit?
if they're non-contributing,
They shouldn't have to, because they're not a historic property.
What about that building? I was just thinking as an example, could it be that building next to, on the end of the arcade that was recently renovated? That the arcade that is
Oh, you're
perpendicular,
next to the Board of Realtors?
because
On the east
didn't that
side?
come to historic
Do
preservation?
they have to come to historic preservation? if
right,
they're
and I might have to look, I
think that's a-
can't answer
Well-
that right now.
Yeah,
Well,
I think that's a part-
that building
Well, it
only
would-
came to us to determine whether it was historic in any
Okay.
way.
Right, so
Okay.
if it's not
it
historic,
wasn't.
then it would need a design review permit,
Right,
which goes to the planning commission.
Now, why would
Or
it
a,
need
or a
design?
director's exemption because it's minor.
Yeah.
Minor
If
in
it's
nature,
major, they need a design review permit?
because it's commercial building, yes,
Any commercial building?
any commercial building.
right, any
Right,
kind
so
matter
that
where
doesn't
it
have to
is.
do with the fact that whether it's
Okay.
historic or not, or in a historic district, any commercial building,
Okay.
yeah. Or certain residential buildings, but that, and we're talking about buildings that are not.
and they have
in
to
a
do that
historic
anyway,
district. Correct.
right, so there's no change.
So in the meeting, let's see, again, going back to the presentation that Lucas is doing, I do want to point out, because this had been, he is showing the recommendations that we're requesting from the city council, and did a great job on that. He says, one of the things that we're asking the council to allow us to do is streamlining the design review process within the proposed local downtown historic district. These design guidelines include the East Ojai Design Guideline area, the front of the arcade design guidelines, the Ojai Plaza Arcade Design Guidelines, and the redevelopment area design guideline areas. So for, all those people who are saying, oh yeah, look at all these things I have to put up with. Well, they don't realize that they're already, why do we need one more? Well, for one reason, you're already under 4 different overlays that are mentioned here in Lucas's text. But the other is that we're asking the city council to work with the staff and with the planning commission to come up with a local downtown historic district overlay, get rid of these 4.
Get rid of them, right,
And
that's
have
what-
one for the whole downtown
But
historic
Even
district.
if they're not historic, they have to abide by the historic district, if they're not a contributing property.
Valerie, can you put on your mic when you talk?
Oh, yeah, sorry.
So
Yeah, and
the-
I'm sorry, first of all, I want to make sure we're sticking with the ad hoc
Right,
Yeah,
discussion.
well, yeah.
But also, I didn't understand, I didn't
Okay,
hear
he
the
said
question.
get rid of all the other overlays and then just have one overlay.
Right.
For everybody, which would mean the non-contributing and the contributing properties, same overlay. And
If-
Gina is raising her hand.
If they are, go ahead, Gina.
No,
I'm sorry.
go ahead, Maura, you go first.
Okay, so I've been thrown off here for a moment, and so if it's non-contributing, I'm thrown off as to whether or not it needs to come back to the HPC, or would need to come to the HPC for a work permit. So I need to look into that
Go
and
ahead,
get
look
back to
into
you.
it, we'll talk to it
But
another time.
but if there's an overlay, then it has to comply with whatever is on that, whatever the requirements are for the overlay, no matter what what the building is.
right?
I mean, whether it's contributing or non-contributing, if there's an overlay over that whole area.
But it's historic district overlay, or is it some other?
Well, so what I envision us doing is that within that overlay or the area guidelines is to address the fact that there are three types of entities that are within that overlay,
Right.
and to treat them equally for what their impact is to that historic district, not a one-size-fits-all.
Right. We have landmarks and contributing and non-contributing.
Right.
And then you have, it's just, we can't say that we can do this. We say that because nothing is written. That's why we're asking council that we can hopefully have an ad hoc with the planning commission to try and work through this so we can present it back and say, this makes so much more sense. This would be slimline for anybody that's part of the district. I mean, it does look, when you start looking at all these overlays, the last thing that we want to do is add another one. What we want to do is say, okay, what are the other ones? How do we complement it? What can we take away? What can we reduce a fee to be, we're just trying to see what we can do and have it make sense. We're just trying to make things better. That's our goal here. And that's why we wanted to ask council to work with the planning commission, but we don't know what it's going to look like until we talk to them. Right now, it's just speculation.
Yeah, and again, that's something that we would be a part of passing and moving forward. And the reason we're talking about all these things is that this is the only place we can talk about these things with everybody here, so.
Well, I do
That's why
think, to Mara's point about are we sticking to the ad hoc, I think that my questions are, that I think is relevant, that we are, is that, when we're out there in the community and talking to people, my feeling is that the gray properties, it's a positive to stay in the map. And if what you're talking about with, maybe they don't need to go to HPC, but they still need to follow downtown historic guidelines, which Lucas is trying to combine the three different entities or just develop one for the historic downtown, that I think that's relevant to this.
But how can you, if
Conversation.
you're not historic, how can you be under historic guidelines?
Well,
No, you're part of the district. You're not.
Because you're part of the district. So
Right.
it could be
District
color,
guidelines, but not.
it
you're part
could
of the
be
district.
surface.
If
Like Brian said, it's not one size fits all. It'll
It'll
but-
address each person.
Well, that's why I think
Yeah.
that one particular project is a good example, because it's not an historic building, but they use the espresso brown beams, and they use the stucco, and, they changed a lot of things in order to be part of the district. Well, not the district, but the place.
Right, I'm trying to
The
think.
area.
So,
Yeah, I mean, Topa didn't come before us either.
Right, so the AT&T building, or Pac Bell building,
Mm-hmm.
was a contributor. And so
Right.
that's why it came before you.
It is.
And it's in the state district. If it wasn't a contributor, it would not have
It
come
wouldn't
before
have.
you. So I
Correct.
think this is kind of answering the question.
Right.
It's the same
It-
type of situation. And you just mentioned Topa Topa?
Right. It did not come
So
before us
Topa
because it was
Topa
It is a
recently-
contributor.
not,
Wait,
Yeah,
we
not at
didn't,
that time.
we didn't know about the Caltrans report when Topa Topa was coming about. So Topa Topa is not a landmark. It is not it was on the structures of merit, but they were doing, my understanding is were you here when Topa Topa came about?
No, I wasn't. What I was thinking about was the sign program that just came through
Yeah.
for them. Did that come here or just the planning commission?
That did not come through us.
It's not a contributor. So if there was an overlay, I mean, I would have to see the overlay to see what's in it and what's not, and what the requirements are for contributing, non-contributing, and actual landmarks.
That's also a different, they're a tough customer.
Microphones, please.
I think that particular project has always been a tough customer, and, if this goes through, then they are a contributing property, and then what do? Do we go back
No.
For previous permits?
You can't.
Absolutely not.
You
No,
can't.
it would be going forward from once they became a contributor.
Right, exactly.
Right.
I mean, when I think of that property, I think of the neon and the open, there's a lot of issues.
The buildings you can't go back.
Right, okay.
Okay. Great. Thank you, everybody. Let's see.
Before we move on, there is a hand raised on Zoom.
There is a hand raised?
Yeah, for a comment.
Oh. Okay.
Can we do that?
You have to to open up public discussion again, public communications.
We close.
Close your discussion. item and
Okay,
open up.
so I'll close.
Is it Craig Walker? Because he's part of our ad hoc. I don't know if it could be part of this conversation.
I don't know who it is.
No, it's Councilmember Francina.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Yes, so she is here as such. So we'll close the comments and then open it up so we can hear from, I didn't realize that Sousa was with us. Welcome, Sousa. I would have recognized you earlier, but I didn't know. So yes, Sousa, what were you going to say, please? Or Councilman Francina? Councilwoman? Go ahead.
I'm recovering from COVID, and I laid down during the meeting and I just dozed off. So forgive me. Now, what are you asking me?
Oh, you had your hand raised and.
That was at the beginning of the meeting when you were discussing the Historic Preservation Awards in December.
Yes.
And that's going to be a very well-attended meeting because that's when we seat the new council. So that'll
Yes.
be exciting.
Yes, it has been in the past. Yes, I've been,
Yeah.
I think, to these meetings for 8 years or so. Yes, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, so that's all. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so we will then move on to item number 4.
Craig Walker just raised his hand too.
Oh, Craig Walker. So we'll leave it open. Craig?
Hi, Craig.
Hello, Craig. Go ahead.
Oh, hi, how are you? Yeah, this is great. I really appreciate the fact that you're looking at combining these different overlays and because a lot of the things that you asked the Planning Commission to do is to make decisions about design for these buildings, even though they're non-contributing. And part of the design guidelines that are downtown say they have to be Spanish style or they have to be compatible with the historic buildings of the area. And it seems to me that's a review that would be better handled by the Historic Preservation Commission under this historic district than to have that be part of the Planning Commission, because you guys know what the history is and what's compatible and what isn't. So I think that people who have a non-contributing building, even now, they would have to, if they propose a project, they would have to get it reviewed under historic design guidelines, but they may not be as well handled as they would be through a historic district. Like Jenny said, that building next to the arcade, you want to make sure it's compatible, even though you're not asking them to make it historic. You're asking them to make it so it doesn't detract from the historic buildings or that it's compatible. So this would enable you to do that in a well thought out manner. That's all.
Great. Thank you, Craig.
Yes, thank you. That's a good point.
Excellent points. Thank you. There's a what?
What? Is it the air conditioner?
Whereas, what's his name? The ghost tour is coming up. Okay, we'll now move to item number 4. And I think that is Maura's.
Yes, thank you. So that was to present.
Microphone.
That
We've
Mike,
all been
Maura?
spanked.
To present the sign permitting process for the arcade to the commission. And so I'm going to do that, and hopefully I'm not too robotic, but I've prepared my own little speech here. So the Historic Preservation has, let's see, the Historic Preservation Commission application is available for a variety of different discretionary permits, and that includes signs. The application is available at the city's public counter as well as on the city's website. The Historic Preservation Commission sign permit application includes 2 attachments, and they should be in your packet. The minimum submittal requirements, which are the same for all sign applications, not just ones that are on a historic building, and also the city's adopted arcade design guidelines, which is a small document. It's not like a big thing. The minimal submittal requirements document includes a list of items required for filing. That would be for submitting along with the application. Standards for preparing project plans, color and material board, photos, and also the address, obviously, and the applicant, and there has to be a signature of the property owner, but also the City Hall address and hours available for filing is also included on the application. The application requires materials to be submitted either electronically or in person, and there's a filing fee of $225. The minimum submittal requirements and filing fees are the same for traditional sign permits as well. What's different is that there are the arcade design guidelines, and they were adopted by the City Council in 2008, and they provide a description of the arcade and required standards for improvements. Pages 2 and 3 of those guidelines detail the sign standards for wall and projecting signs. One of each is permitted per tenant. The guidelines also include the permitted colors, the size that the sign is allowed to be or must be, the materials of the sign, and also where the sign can be located. And it's very specific. As with the building permits, sign permits within the arcade are reviewed by staff for completeness for processing. And that means that all the required submittal documents, as well as any other information that staff needs or deems necessary for a thorough evaluation, has to be submitted. And there's a streamlining act by the state of California that staff has to notify the applicant within 30 days of whether an application is complete enough for processing, and it needs to be in writing. Sometimes it's a letter, but I would say that for signs, I would generally send an email, and that it's usually coming from me. Notification in writing, I just said that. So let's see. Completeness is based on the minimum submittal requirements, which may be subjective. So for instance, many sign applications are accepted even if they're not drawn to scale, as long as the dimensions are provided. If an application is not complete for processing, staff notifies the applicant and they can work together to complete the submittal. Once an application is complete for processing, which means that all of the pertinent information has been submitted and is complete enough for staff to make a thorough evaluation, which means also evaluate the application, the sign, prepare a staff report, and that includes a recommendation, and to be able to present it to the HPC. Staff provides, in writing to the applicant, a tentative date for the HPC hearing, and then staff follows through with noticing and prepares the packet for the planning, or the HPC, for consideration. And the HPC, as you know, because you are the body, meets once a month. The goal is to not have, or to get the application on, of course, as soon as possible. It may not be the next meeting if the next meeting is a week away, but then hopefully it would be on the meeting following. And so that's it. It's just for a sign, but signs, as are fences and anything else in the city of Ojai, are very important, and we take it very, very seriously. And that's why Ojai looks the way it does.
It's a really good reference document. I never had one this complete, so thank you. Good reference.
Oh, thanks. Oh, and I guess I did prepare, I think what you're talking about is the reference document, that,
The whole thing is a
I'm
reference.
Oh,
wondering
thank
if
you.
if this package that you prepared could be available to merchants in this complete
Is
way.
it on the website maybe?
It is on the
Microphones,
website, but
please.
not quite like this. Some
well,
of it,
the staff report wouldn't be part of a packet.
I mean, not as a staff report, but, well, maybe as a staff report. I mean, this whole thing is, you know, very helpful. The one thing that I don't see on here is informing the neighbors.
That's
And
because,
that fee.
okay, so the fee is, just a
The
sec,
labels fee.
just a sec. So the fee is on the application for, oh, the fee for submitting the application. The fee for getting the labels isn't on here because it's not our fee. It's a county fee or wherever the person might be getting their labels from. An applicant is not required to get their labels from the county, but we know that they provide them, and so we provide you with, you know, the mailing labels that can be generated, you know, by the Ventura County GIS Department. And on our website, that information is available. Or with a request, I can supply that information. But I wouldn't supply the fee because it might change.
Okay, so where in this document does it say, I mean, I just was surprised to learn about the labels and what that was. So I'm just wondering, is this on, it's not on my checklist?
So the labels are on the checklist. The
Where are
minimum,
the labels?
hold on, I'm sorry, but the minimum submittal requirements are one completed application form.
Yeah.
Right, this is on page 2 of 6. A written description of the sign details. A
I see.
rendering,
I do see it.
okay, and then the 300-foot radius mailing labels. And we send those out. We get the applicant gives us the labels as part of the submittal package, and then we send out a hearing notice to everybody within 300 feet.
Oh, okay.
So I mean, my only comment on that is that it is a significant cost, and, you know, we don't say in that checkbox that there is a fee
For the labels?
for the labels. Even though it's not our fee, it's not our city fee, but, you know, it's, you know, almost a couple $100. I think this is really great. Yeah, really, thank you so much for doing this.
Yeah,
This
it's
is really, because, you know, I just went through that process and for the second time.
No, I like this
But,
chart too.
It's really, yeah,
flow
this
chart?
chart
Mhm.
is great.
Really nice, yeah.
This
So-
could be something, that, I mean, if I'm allowed to talk to Jamie Fleming at the, chamber about, you know, that we've discussed this, and, I'm sure there's a whole other presentation for a sign like, what would it be, Topa, and those requirements,
Well,
or
the
no?
submittal requirements are the same
Like
for
a
any
city
sign. For any sign. It's just that the other signs don't come before the HPC.
Right,
Yeah.
And I believe it's not Topa Topa. Was it Topa Topa?
well, when I talked to Lucas about it, he's like, you wouldn't know how, or we were kind of joking, like a sign is a big deal.
It is a
And-
very big deal.
And, I mean, I can't remember exactly the words that he used, but he kind of put it in perspective for me, and then I just had a conversation with the newspaper people about their signage on that building, and then, you know, some of the other things that are not historic buildings, but still, have to go through that process. And
So-
I like that it's clarified and that people
Yeah, you did a
can
good job.
better understand it. Yeah.
So Topa Topa has a sign that's on a diamond, right?
Right,
So just for information, they have a sign program for the whole building that they recently just submitted and got approved. They had to go to the planning commission. And so when a building has, this has nothing to do with the historic building, but when a sign in general has more than, I forget if it's either more than 2 or 3 signs, because they have multiple tenants, they need a sign program.
Oh,
So the
exactly.
signs, right, or to some degree, so there's some uniformity. And they have to present a package, and we take it to the planning commission. But that's not unique with other cities. But Ojai does take its signage very seriously.
Yes.
Yeah.
Gina, sorry, so,
I just have a comment, like what this is and how simplified. That's how I imagine someday in the future when we do have the local historic district, is just having welcome to the local historic district. Here's how you do everything. You know, wouldn't that be nice?
yeah, definitely. So we only look, because I think I was at Help of Ojai on a presentation there, and they were like, oh, do you have anything to do with the signs? I'm like,
They,
no.
well,
But, so the HPC sees the signs only within the arcade. And,
Or any other
well,
historic.
we saw the
building,
one,
playhouse.
the place, yeah, place next to the theater.
It's a historic building. And the place
Ah.
next to the theater, the little restaurant, Rory's.
Yeah,
Because
Rory's.
it's on a historic building.
Right, so
Okay,
you'll
oh,
see
that
it
makes
if it's
sense.
on an historic building.
Okay, that makes sense.
But I think that the point is that every property goes through this process. The historic buildings are not singled out for a more,
No, everybody, it's a big sign.
Detailed process. and I think
Microphones,
that
please.
that's an important discussion. When I was talking with the newspaper people who are on the corner of Aliso and North Signal, and when you look at that whole building, there is a comprehensive, it's a blue color and it's wooden, and they're a certain size, and some of them want bigger signs, but I just I wish I could write like a nice opinion piece about it, but I just think it's important for the community to know that this isn't all city
Historic.
process. It's not specifically singling out historic properties and the arcade, and
I think we know that.
And no one's being singled
I
out.
think
Everyone is being
we know
provided.
that, but I don't think
Yeah, Help of Ojai
they
didn't
know
know that.
that.
Oh,
Yeah,
No.
and Help
They
of
said, do
Ojai
you have
was-
anything to do with
Oh,
this
I
sign out
see.
front?
and Help
Kind of
of
with that
Ojai was
disdain, and
also
I'm
right
like,
here.
no.
Right.
Right, and
So-
being singled out has like a negative connotation.
Yeah, that's why I said no real quick.
Right, but it's not, no one is being singled out.
No.
Everyone is being provided with an opportunity to prepare a sign that, it just makes this city that beautiful and unique.
Yeah, and I think that's exactly
That's the
what
point.
you're saying, Jenny.
That's what I'm trying, that's
It
the point that
is.
I'm trying to make, yeah,
Yes.
in a positive way.
No, I
The
think
little
that,
big
that's
building
very
behind
important.
Joe's needs some signage.
Now, we don't
I don't think.
go
we're
after
gonna-
existing situations, so.
We could walk
So-
through the city and red tag stuff. So thank you for this.
You're welcome.
Yes, thank you very much. The other thing is I think maybe once a quarter or something, we should pick some part of what the community development group does.
I
And,
like that idea.
and bring that to here as an instruction, just like you did here, so that we have a better understanding.
Well,
Yeah, that would be
educating the
That's a lot of
public
work.
and, and
Microphones,
She put a
please.
lot into this.
I think it's important.
My mic's on. This voice from heaven, microphone.
So,
Oh, boy, we need to do Ojai Day now.
So, yeah, I just think that would be like once a quarter to have that little training exactly like you did here.
so is that just a comment, or is that something that you're stating and you want everyone to vote on?
Do we need a vote for that?
I don't know, but I also
So,
don't know. But anyway, it's a nice thought.
okay, something
Noted.
we'd like to see.
Well, we could start with, educating the public about what the community don't think that people know it. I think they,
But who's supposed to do that? The historic
well,
preservation?
I don't know.
Not us. It would be
I'm just-
something staff would
I'm
share with
just
us.
Saying that because we're helping the people out there now with this, and I think it's really valuable, and, maybe it doesn't have anything to do with us.
But it does. I mean,
It's
yeah,
true that the
Yeah,
public
it's like
doesn't,
they
doesn't
think that,
know what
you know.
the city does, really.
they
I mean,
don't.
anywhere,
Mara sits
not
there
just
with a
here.
stack of permits.
Yep.
and-
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
Ojai Day.
These are Swedish fish.
Right.
Okay, Ojai Day. The
Schedule, we're just doing the schedule, right?
Yeah, we are. We are. So I am going to get the key. I don't know why it says still working on that. but-
Well, it's because when I prepared this for you, there were items that I didn't know of dates and times, or
Oh,
that
okay,
that things
okay.
had been established. So the commission annually hosts an open house for the jail, and this year, Ojai Day takes place on Saturday, the 15th, and the commission typically dresses like inmates and to provide a lively atmosphere for those touring the jail. And staff offers the following volunteer work schedule to the commission for consideration. And so you would have, commissioners would be signing up for this. So commissioner number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5.
Yes.
That's right.
Yes,
So
most
yes.
definitely.
Okay. I'll
Um,
do 1:30 to 3.
So if,
Do one.
would you like me to read out the times and get
Oh,
some
no, we see the
names?
times right here.
Okay, well, I just want to make sure that I,
Okay, well, I'm gonna be there at the beginning. I'm gonna be there at the end.
so does that mean you're going to be there at, for the 10 o'clock?
Yeah, to open the jail and close the jail.
Okay, and
Yeah.
then at 4 o'clock or whatever at the end.
Maybe it might be, maybe I'll grow a beard and look really scruffier when I'm walking around town.
Well, last year I did early because I have to open up my shops.
Oh, okay.
So.
So do you want- do you wanna
and
do-
I did it
Yeah, we.
together. Yeah.
Jenny, do you want to jump in right at the beginning?
Can I jump in at
I'll
the
just come
beginning?
over and help get everything opened and set up. Also, keep in mind, we're gonna have
That was
the,
my first year too.
the Ojai people there too.
Yes.
Okay, I'll do 1:30. to
Now, if
3.
it gets really hot, will we be able to put in a text to your wonderful husband who brought over ice cold water last year?
Well, my
I'm
son
like,
now works at the ice cream shop, so we could
oh,
get the cart.
is that the
Down
tall
there.
one that I saw?
Yes, yeah, they're both pretty tall.
Oh, they are,
They
okay.
both work there.
Oh, okay.
Valerie, you wanted 1:30?
Yeah, 1:30, and I wondered if Cindy had said what she wanted, or.
Can I do number 3?
Is that 12:30?
Tina.
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So someone has to do 11:30, I guess
So
that's Cindy.
why don't we give it to Cindy, but Cindy might also be around for,
We'll see what she wants.
for the project.
So Brian, you're going to be
Okay,
there
I'll
at
do,
2:30?
yep, I'll do the wrap up.
Okay, I'll do 1:30 to 3, Brian, Gina.
So Jenny, Cindy, Gina, Valerie, and Brian.
Okay, perfect. Yay.
And,
So all the next schedules are all Ojai Day, Ojai Day, Ojai Day.
and Dwayne Bauer,
Oh, is he coming, or,
he's the car.
oh, the car, right?
So we'll still have the car there. And, all of the things that we bring to it. And then and work together with the Elizabeth and that group that are going to be there too.
Oh, yeah.
So,
One of the other things on that, on Ojai Day, and that I brought up was to talk to the teams at Ojai Valley School, high school, if they
Oh,
wanted
yeah.
to be information people about that project and wear the shirts, the jail
Yeah, that was-
shirts.
yeah.
So we can include that in the other discussions, because they could also, they will also be talking about the jail and what the jail is, so they need to be informed.
yep. Okay, we missing anything, Gina? On that day?
Not that I can see. I do want it on a future agenda item that we talk about how we can reach out to schools, like that was suggested, and maybe opening it up on other days, but that's not Ojai Day, but it's still the jail. So I'd like to have that just in our heads for a future agenda item. It was like a light bulb moment when it was like, we could open it other days. I don't, it was like, I felt like it was Cinderella that we had this like, one day or we turn into pumpkins, but
That's
the
a
idea
great
that
idea.
we could do it to other days would be really fun.
Yes, completely. Okay, item 5, thank you very much. Future agenda items.
So, yeah, besides discussing Ojai Day on the 13th and the 15th is Ojai Day, and then a report regarding Ojai Day on November 10th, those are the items right now that are on the future agenda. Staff will update you on that when able to do that and when it's time. And in the meantime, I wanted to just talk about something else. I guess, let's see, can we get off future agenda items now and go to planning and go to?
No,
go
future
ahead.
agenda items, we need to discuss the cottages in Mallory Way project.
Actually, we're not going to talk about that tonight.
Oh, I thought we were gonna just have it in our heads for a future agenda item. No, just,
That's-
Yep. No, we're,
Thanks, Gina. Got it.
yep, thank you. December 13th, on the calendar again, that's the night we expect that the HPC plaques awards will be given out. So just to put that and remind us.
Can I add one future agenda item, just to have the gang?
Microphone, please.
The gang from the Jail and Arts Initiative come and give us a
So kind of a debrief, kind of a how it went?
debrief, what worked, what didn't work. I know there's already, been some changes. I think that would be helpful if we move forward with future projects on historical sites.
Yeah, that's kind of a subset of the report on Ojai Day, but I think that's a fabulous idea.
Maybe they could even come on that day.
Yes.
Oh, come to us on the November 10th?
I don't know if it should be included in a report on Ojai Day. I feel like it's a separate, it's a report on using an historical structure for a public art project.
Oh, okay,
That's how I'm seeing it.
okay.
So maybe it can be on that day, maybe it doesn't need to be on that day,
It would be a separate agenda item.
but I think it would be a
Okay.
separate
No, that
agenda
sounds great.
item.
So would you want to talk about Maura?
Well, are we finished with future agenda items?
Think so.
Okay, so that
Check.
means it's.
Planning report.
Planning report.
Do, do, do,
So I
do, do.
don't really have a planning report,
What?
but I do, sorry, Brian, but I do want to just, I wanted to talk about HPC meetings and commissioners, and, yeah, you knew I was gonna do this. So we know that it's a volunteer position that you've all taken, and it's very generous, and it's a lot of work, which takes time, more than your little bit of time here. But it is it's a big commitment, but it's also an important commitment, and we want to have you here unless there's a significant situation where you can't make it, and staff needs to be notified when that happens. And also, the handbook doesn't say that you're limited to the numbers of times that you can miss a meeting, but I want to remind you that if you miss 3 consecutive meetings, it's not like you're off the commission, but then it becomes a discussion with the city manager. And also, because the COVID restrictions have been lifted, you're expected to be here attending in person and not via Zoom unless there's a specific situation. Again, that's been discussed with probably the director. And then we have an opportunity to let you be off-site. We don't decide that off-site location. It cannot be your home, but it has to be a place that the public can go to if they wish. And we have to know in advance so we can put that location on an agenda. And then we have to go out and post it within 72 hours before the event. And so, for instance, Gina is at the library, at the museum, the library museum, and
At the library and the museum.
right.
With the
And
butler.
so there's an agenda posted there, and Gina's, needs to and has let us know in advance when she needs to be off-site, just like any of you, if something comes up. But it needs to be really arranged and discussed in a way enough in advance.
Yeah, yeah.
And please, if you're not going to be here, contact staff. Don't contact the chair. Okay.
I thought about that actually tonight because my son is sick, and then it was so last minute. I thought about calling you, and I thought that's not going to work. So I have one question. Where is it posted, like for this particular meeting that Gina was in a separate location?
It's posted at the museum.
It's actually posted on the door of the museum,
On the door.
like physically.
Seriously.
Okay.
I'm like,
Like
what the
someone
heck
taped it
is
up.
that?
Yeah,
Oh, I know what
we
that
went and
is.
taped it up there, but it's also on the agendas.
There you go. Gina's showing it on the,
Yeah,
In
there it
our
is.
agenda?
It says it right here on your agenda,
Well, we're just gonna print it up.
oh,
at the very
sorry.
top. It usually has just,
Oh, I see.
yeah.
It's not her name, it's just.
correct,
someone
it's
there.
the
Okay.
Just
it's
the
the
location.
location, and that location has to be open to the public in case the public wants to be there.
Okay, got it.
Also, Kimberly Rivers with the Ojai Valley News contacted me just in the last couple of days and said, so wait, are you meeting at the museum or are you meeting at the, at City Hall? And so I just let her know. And so, so she did put it up on, she was reporting on the upcoming HPC meeting and put in there that it would be in those two different locations. So that information is publicly available. And as I said, anybody could have come in to join Gina if they wanted to.
But then wouldn't that be opposite of being isolated?
Well,
Well,
You know
I'm
what?
just telling you, go ahead.
if you need to be off-site, for whatever the reason is, that site has to be open to the public, period. It's just, yeah, so,
Okay.
the chances of that happening are probably pretty slim, but they have to be available.
Okay, so what's your time frame on knowing that in advance? A week
72
prior?
hours.
So,
72 hours.
72 hours?
no, actually, it's not, it's, because the agenda you guys get your packet,
Right.
the Friday before.
It's in a week, at least.
I think it has to be 10 days in advance. You know what, I can get that timing to
Okay.
you. I'm happy to,
I'll just write down 10 days for now.
okay.
It's okay.
And as soon as you know that you're not gonna be here, if you're not gonna be present at all, it's best to call staff. And again, an off-site location, it has to be reasonable and it can't be your home.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's all.
And
Thank
so Matt Summers and I, while we were out there waiting for that epic meeting to start, also figured that one out too. Because we were on where we could hold an off-site meeting. Gina, yes.
Oh, can you say?
I have a commissioner comment. Are we there yet or not?
Are you done with planning?
I am done, thank you.
Yes, Commissioner comments.
I just wanted to let you know that on September 20th at 6 p.m., there is a free Zoom panel called Understanding Santa Barbara's Historic Resource Guidelines. It says, did you ever wonder how the city of Santa Barbara helps preserve Santa Barbara's rich agricultural history? In 2021, the Santa Barbara City Council amended the Historic Resource Ordinance and adopted updated historic resource design guidelines, cementing the city's recognition of the importance of protecting historic resources and supporting decision-making that will ensure continued maintenance, preservation, and enhancement of these resources. Please attend the Zoom presentation and discussion to learn about the policies the city has put into place and to protect and cherish their unique heritage. But they're going to have speakers and everything. And since they're our sister city, I thought that, our neighbor, that some of you might be interested. It's a free event and you just have to sign up. So I can send the Zoom link to Maura if anybody's interested, and she can send it out to everyone.
Yes, please.
Thank
Okay.
you. Thanks, Gina.
Sure.
Okay, City Council Liaison, Francina. Probably well-deserved.
She might not be feeling well.
Okay, I just wanted to check in. So we do appreciate having Councilmember Francina as our liaison here tonight. Okay, anything else? Are we going to adjourn? Done. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mara. Thank you, Jenny. Hope your son gets feeling better.